Everyone, I'm Debbie Stokes of Three Women Voices. Today, my special guest will be talking about nutrition and how what you eat affects your body. She will also discuss the connection between what you eat, how it impacts your well-being, and how vital exercise is to your total wellness. Now, I introduce to you nutrition expert, fitness coach, and educator, Jonene Ford. Hi, Jonene. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am fine. I'm doing well. I'm excited to have you here. And let's get started.
Glad to be here.
Yes. So now I know that you are into transforming bodies. So, how can a person transform their body safely?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the first thing that people need to do is make sure they have a realistic expectation for the time it will take to do that. If you want to be safe about it, now there are plenty of ways you can lose weight very quickly, but is that the safest way? Probably not. But if you decide that you are going to be consistent over time with making the right food decisions, with making sure that you exercise regularly, with making sure that you manage your stress, because a lot of people don't realize that has an impact on your weight. And then also making sure that you get enough sleep, because that also has an impact on your weight. And drinking enough water and eating the vegetables, stuff like that. If you're consistent with that over time, you will transform your body. I mean, there's really no way around it.
Okay. So if done improperly, what could go wrong?
So a lot of the times when I deal with clients who have done the really bad contest preps for like bodybuilding, let's say, or have gone through like one of those transformation programs where you lose 50 pounds in 2 months or whatever, a lot of the health ramifications that I see are hormonal mostly. So they have negatively impacted their thyroid, they've negatively impacted their adrenal glands. And so as a result, it's really difficult for them to manage their weight or to lose weight after that, or they gain the weight back really, really quickly. So that has a lot of long-term effects too. And believe it or not, a lot of people damage their digestive system through very, very rigorous exercise over a long period of time, coupled with eating the same foods over and over. So if you're eating, brown rice, chicken, and broccoli for every meal of the day for 8 weeks, while those three things are very healthy, our bodies weren't necessarily made to eat the same things all the time, and that can actually damage your yeah. So I would say those are probably the most common issues that I see that come from people who do really quick and fast diet and weight loss type programs.
Okay. That's good information. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into the nutrition business, and how it brought you to where you are today.
Okay, so I, by mistake took a class called Child, Family, and School, and got interested in education from there. I always loved children, and was a camp counselor and worked at a daycare part time, so it made sense. But I didn't know exactly what to get into, and so there was a program called Family and Consumer Sciences that had a consumer education piece, which is kind of like business, and we thought personal finance, things like that. But something else that fell under that umbrella was nutrition education. So we taught nutrition education, personal finance or financial education. And so I kind of got into it thinking I was going to be a business educator, but became a nutrition educator. But it kind of, helped me along the way. And then as far as what took me into private practice, just dealing with, my family having chronic health issues with type 2 diabetes, hypertension, kidney failure, seeing people, in my family get amputations due to these diseases, and just really feeling a burden to want to help not only them, but help myself prevent those things, because I saw it as probably a genetic issue maybe, and then wanting to help others. So that's kind of my roundabout way that I got into the field. But but I do feel like it is my passion, it is my calling. And sometimes we, try to do one thing and we find our calling, by mistake. And so that's my story.
Right, right. What are some mistakes you see people making when trying to eat healthy?
Probably one of the biggest mistakes I see are two things: juicing and smoothies. So I think that juicing and smoothies are both definitely healthy ways to incorporate vegetables into your daily diet. But a lot of people don't consider that, some of the stuff they put in there is very sugar dense. So in a smoothie, if you have, I don't know, apples and strawberries and bananas and pineapples and mango, you could have the amount of sugar in one smoothie that you're supposed to have an entire week. And so people are like, oh, I don't understand why I'm not losing weight. I'm eating all fruits and vegetables. I'm drinking a smoothie every day. And then, we figure that out. And then they might be putting a cup of yogurt, flavored yogurt mixed in with it and all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
And then juicing, while most people don't put a lot of fruits in their juicing, they usually put carrots and beets and leafy green vegetables and stuff like that. The problem with the juicing is that when you juice, you remove all the fiber from those vegetables. Mm-hmm. And carrots and beets, a lot of people don't know, actually have a good amount of sugar in them. So you remove the fiber and all you're left with is the nutrient and the sugar that comes with those nutrients. Then you can get, blood glucose spikes, which result in insulin spikes, which along, the road could lead to type 2 diabetes. So while people think that is really healthy, and generally speaking it can be detrimental if not done the right way.
Okay. Now you touched on sugar spikes and diabetes. So how does nutrition affect the body? Like when you're eating?
Every single process, every single thing that our body does, from growing your hair, to moving, to digesting, to losing weight, to growing a baby, to, thinking, every single thing that our body does is because of the nutrition that we get through the food that we eat, or through the supplements that we take, or through the water that we drink. There is not one thing that our body does that is not dependent on or on nutrition in some type of way. Mm-hmm. So nutrition has the power to make you a super healthy human being, but it also has the power to make you very sick. And it kind of all depends on what type of choices you make with your nutrition.
Okay. So bad nutrition equals sickness.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. This philosopher back in the day, and actually considered the founder of modern medicine, Hippocrates, mm-hmm. said that food is medicine. Let food be your medicine and medicine be your food. In other words, if we really were diligent about making sure that we make good food choices, it has the power to heal us.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. So now you touched on your company a little bit. So tell us about your company, the name of the company, and what you do.
Okay. So my company's name is Ford Wellness. And we specialize in basically helping everyday people meet their goals and live healthier and happier lives through helping them learn about what's best for their bodies as it relates to nutrition, fitness, and integrative health. Integrative health is just basically a fancy term for like all the things that affects us as human beings. So we do focus on exercise. We do focus on mental health. We do focus on, being centered spiritually and things like that, because all of those things have an impact on our overall wellness. So that's kind of what we do. We're a small company of 6 people. And that company, what I do in addition to trying to, advance the company, is I focus mainly on nutrition and fitness training. We do have another nutritionist on staff. We do have some people that are focused on like more the mental health aspect on staff. We have a dietitian on staff, she's actually a dietitian in training. So yeah, we try to meet people where they are and whatever need they have, if they want to kind of like help heal themselves holistically, without medication or in conjunction with medication. We're there for that reason.
Okay. So now what would you say to a woman who is trying to lose weight and she's gone from diet to program and it's not working? What would you say to her that where she can help herself?
That's a great question. It's a great question, and it's something that I experience probably almost every day with women especially. And I mean, you'd be surprised with guys too. And so what I would say is, the first thing that we need to do is focus on the mindset of the person. Why are you doing these diets? Is it to look better? Is it to lose weight solely? And then if so, why? You know, because really everything that we should do, if we focus on health first, all the other stuff will fall in line. So if we're eating a healthy diet and we're living a healthy lifestyle, then we won't have to worry about weight. That won't be an issue.
Okay.
So that's the first thing, is you want to focus on mindset, like making sure that we bring them back to the health. The health aspect should be first. And then after that, you know, like I usually will send them for testing to see if they've damaged their metabolism in some type of way. Does their thyroid function appropriately? Are their cortisol levels, which is a measure of stress hormone, normal? Because in people that do a lot of excessive dieting, sometimes those types of hormones can be off. Sometimes it throws your sex hormones off. So your estrogen, your progesterone, your testosterone can get out of balance. So that would be my second measure of action, to see, you know, how they're functioning. Mm-hmm. And then the third thing is to just kind of get them on a path to learning how to eat for their bodies, okay, and how to exercise for their bodies as well. And, you know, sometimes there's other things that need to be done too. Like, is there an eating disorder? Is there body dysmorphic disorder? Like, are there some mental health issues that we need to focus on too? Because a lot of times that comes into play with people who have been on chronic diets for a long time. But yeah, I mean, my advice for somebody who has been dieting for a long time and has not really, you know, gotten to their goal is to revamp your mindset, you know, okay, focus on eating healthy as opposed to being on a diet.
Okay. Now, speaking about mindset, you were a bodybuilder. Mm-hmm. You train people to be bodybuilders. Mm-hmm. What is the transformation process mentally? Like, how does it affect your mind mentally?
Yeah, the bodybuilding process is probably one of the toughest things I've ever done, because it really is, you know, people think, oh, these people are in great shape or they love to exercise, or, you know, but it really is more mental than it is anything else. Mm-hmm. And if a person has a discipline and the mental stamina and the perseverance to, you know, do what it takes, then really anybody can be a bodybuilder. What it takes is being dedicated to eating so completely opposite of what I just said. Okay. Very dedicated to eating a very specific diet, and it's very routine. So bodybuilders typically don't have a whole heck of a lot of variety in their diet, because they're eating for the purpose of gaining muscle and losing body fat only. It's not a health diet. And a lot of people don't get that. Like, you know, bodybuilding is not really a healthy process. Okay. You get your body to a body fat that is super duper low. And for women, it could cause, you know, for their periods to stop, for them to become infertile temporarily, things like that. So it's not meant to be done year round. But it does take a lot of discipline, you know, for a period of time. And it does take a lot of focus, and it takes a lot of grit, because, you know, there'll be certain points in the process where you're not eating a whole lot of food, but you're doing a whole lot of exercise, and you still have to keep pushing forward.
Oh, okay.
It's a very tough process. It's not for the faint at heart. Yeah. And it's also for people that already have issues with their bodies, because you get to a point where you have a really low body fat, and it's not something that can be sustained all the time. So if you're doing it to look like a bodybuilder, please know that bodybuilders don't look like they look on stage all year round.
Okay.
In the off season, they typically look very regular. It's
Okay.
really like a 2-week look, and then after that, it's gone and it goes back to normal.
Okay. So if a person wanted to start a weight loss and get healthy regimen now, what steps would you tell her to take, and then to keep it off?
Yeah. So I have this thing. I should patent it. So anybody watching, please don't steal this from me. I'm probably write about it or something one day. But no, it's out there all over the internet. I call it the 5 steps to a healthy weight, right? So if you follow these 5 steps and you're committed to them, then you're most likely going to get to and stay at a healthy weight. And I've talked about most of them already. So the first one is just be committed to eating fruits and vegetables every day. At least 5 to 10 servings of vegetables every day. And then on top of that, eating some fruits. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, that's a lot of vegetables. And yeah, like in our country, we don't eat a lot. We don't eat as much. And that's why we have a lot of the health issues that we have. So the second step would be to make sure that we're drinking adequate water. And that's another thing that we don't do. Does soda count towards that? No. Does tea count towards that? No. Does coffee count towards that? No. Water. And the amount that we should have, unless you have some sort of water restriction, like, due to kidney disease or something, take your body weight and divide it by 2. And that's the amount of ounces of water minimum that we should be drinking on a daily basis. So if you're a 150-pound woman, then you should be drinking at least 75 ounces of water, or maybe this is a 40-ounce bottle.
Okay.
So two bottles of that. This is vegetable water, by the way. It looks like dirty pond water, but it's powdered greens mixed with water.
Okay.
So that's the second thing I would say. The third thing I would say is focus on making sure you get enough sleep. Sleep is so important. As I mentioned before, if you don't get enough, then your body can't recover properly. You can't get enough mental rest, and your body starts to perceive that as stress, which leads me to my fourth step, stress management. If you do not manage your stress and you're not getting enough sleep, then your body will start to elevate a hormone called cortisol. Which is a super important hormone, and we need it, but we need it at certain amounts or at certain points higher than others. But with people who are chronically stressed, it tends to stay high. So normally it would go high and then lower during the day. Okay. And it raises to give us the energy that we need in order to function and get our day going. But in people who are chronically stressed, it stays elevated. The problem with this is that it tends to, because of the metabolic process involved with what cortisol does, tends to generate weight directly on your abdomen, right around your belly button. Okay. So if you're a person and you're like, oh my God, I can't get rid of my belly fat, and your belly fat that you're talking about is right around the center of your belly button, which is a lot of women that I talk to, then you need to think about, am I stressed out? And if you are, figure out ways to manage that. That could be talking to a therapist. That could be, getting an exercise regimen, going on a nature walk, whatever you need to do. You need to have stress management in your life on a daily basis. Okay. And then the fifth thing is obviously exercise. Exercise is super important, but one thing that I think women miss is that we need some sort of strength-based aspect to our exercise. So at least 3 days a week, you need to be lifting weights of some sort. You need to be doing like band, resistance band work, maybe machines at the gym. 3 days a week, you should be doing some type of strength-based exercise. But then the other days of the week, maybe like 3 or 4 days a week, you should be participating in some sort of cardiovascular exercise. And so I get a lot of times, so I go for a walk every day. Is that okay? If you're power walking and your heart rate is up, then yes. But if you're taking a casual stroll, consider that not counted.
Right. Okay.
So it needs to be exercise that gets your heart rate up, to where you're breathing a little heavier, not like out of breath necessarily, but breathing a little bit heavier. And maybe you have to take breaths in between your sentences because it's a little bit more labored to
Yeah.
breathe. But 30 minutes of physical activity on average every day is what we need, if not more. So that's the baseline. So
Okay.
I would say if a woman did those 5 things and was very intentional about making sure those things got done,
Mm-hmm.
then I would say she's on her way to getting to a healthy weight and staying at a healthy weight.
Okay. So now you said how important water is to losing weight and exercise is to losing weight. How important is cleansing to losing weight?
Well, that's a very controversial topic.
Okay.
Cleansing and detoxing and things like that. And so what I will say is that there are I would say 3 things that we have that does those things for us naturally. We have organs that cleanse us naturally. Those are our kidneys and our liver. That's their job. And then water and vegetables. Those things are made for cleanses. So when I hear about people doing like detox cleansing and things like that, if you were very intentional about making sure you got enough vegetables every day, making sure you drink enough water every day, there will be no need for that.
Okay.
Yeah, there will be no need for that. So what I would suggest is that, and then sometimes the cleanses, I look at them and I cringe at the ingredients list because sometimes they can be toxic. I was just looking at a detox tea that a client of mine was taking.
Mm-hmm.
And it had an ingredient in it called phenylalanine, something like that, which is basically a derivative of ephedrine, which is a stimulant, and it can increase heart rate, and it's been found to cause stroke and heart attack in some people. Like these cleanses, don't know like how the ingredients will affect you, and if you're taking medications, especially, you have to be really careful. What is safe for most people? Vegetables and water.
Okay.
Cleanse naturally with that, and then you'll be good.
Okay, now because I heard of the detox to have I think it's called CBD or something in it. It's like,
Oh
yeah.
So I think CBD oil and CBD products are great.
Okay.
So basically what it is a derivative of either marijuana or hemp leaf.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But it's the part of it that doesn't give you the high,
Yeah.
it's like
Okay.
the part that's we consider medicinal. So it does calm muscles, reduce inflammation, helps joints and pains feel a little bit better for some people. For people that maybe are anxious, helps them feel a little bit less anxiety. So those are really good.
Okay.
But I don't know, the label of cleanse, I wouldn't. CBD oil doesn't cleanse anything really. It just really is kind of like a healing type of oil that I think most people can benefit from.
Okay, got you. Okay. So why is it so hard for women to lose weight?
Well, we have a lot going on us women.
Okay.
And especially, we're really hormonally, we have, cycles that put us into different hormonal periods.
Okay.
Each week of the month, it's like something's changing with us hormonally. Men, it's like, oh, they're the same today, tomorrow, and yesterday.
Yeah.
So we have all these changes that we deal with, and then even once we get to a point, where we're not dealing with a period necessarily, we still have hormonal changes that we have to deal with. So that's what makes it a little bit more tricky for us, because we're not just dealing with calories in, calories out, which is like a very common thing that I'm hearing these days. It's not just that. And so we have to consider the individual woman, where she is in the cycle of life. That's important. And then also, we're individuals genetically. And so while one diet may work really well for one person, it may not work, one woman, I should say, it may not work for another.
Okay.
Yeah, so it really all depends. Different levels of muscle. The more muscle anyone has, the easier it will be for them to lose weight. So that's another thing to consider. I mean, we just have so many factors.
Okay.
I think that's what makes it harder.
Okay. So now, you coach people in your business.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the biggest complaints you hear about exercising and eating healthy, and how do they, or how is it, how do you help them overcome it?
Yeah, so I would say I'll start with exercise. That's the easier one.
Okay.
Most the complaint that I usually get about that is that I just don't have time. Like I got kids, I gotta clean the house, I gotta cook, I gotta work, I'm in school, like all these things that they have to do. And at the end, which I understand because I'm a very busy person. I run a business. I'm pursuing my doctorate right now. Like life, on top of that, you want to live a personal life too. So I get it. But at the end of the day, it's really about what is most important to the person. And you really have to base your schedule on that. So if, health is not as important as all those other things, then it will come last. But, we're here to kind of compel people that if they make their health a priority, they will be better at all those other things.
Mm-hmm.
If you're healthier, you'll be able to think better. So you'll do better at work. You'll do better at school. If you're healthy, you'll be happier with your family and you'll have more energy to clean the house and, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
So my response is usually try to prioritize it and do it first before you do anything else.
Okay.
If you wait till the end of the day, it probably won't get done. And then nutrition wise, I would say the biggest complaint that I usually get is that it's expensive to eat healthy. It really is. I mean, you can go to a fast food place and get a whole meal for $3 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you want to get a whole organically grown salad with, pastured raised, animal products or whatever, then you're going to pay $15, $20 for that. And so I would have to bring people back to that again. It's like, what are your priorities? And ultimately, if you pay to eat better now, then you're going to pay less later in doctor's fees, prescription medications, going to see specialists and all that. And you'll just feel better, So I always feel like your health should be your biggest investment. And if you do that, then you'll be more productive everywhere else.
Okay. And it's a good way to look at it. It's all about perspective.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Okay. So now you touched on hormones and menopause a little bit. How can it prevent people from losing weight? And then what can they do about it?
Yeah. So as we age, and this happens for women and men, I should say, but it affects women way more than men. As we age, our what's called the BMR, basal metabolic rate, tends to decrease. And what that basically means is that the calories that we burn at rest, just sitting down doing nothing, we burn a lot of calories just sitting down doing nothing, just because our body has to breathe and you have to have cell reproduction, whatever, that takes energy. But as we age, the amount of energy that our body requires to do those things starts to decline. And with that, we start to develop age-related symptoms like, aches and pains and broken bones and things like that. So that's why it's harder to lose weight as you get older, especially as going through menopause, because there's a significant drop in BMR once you go through menopause. So I always recommend my ladies who are, going into their 40s, especially before menopause starts, and definitely once menopause starts in their 50s, to make sure you prioritize strength training. That is really going to be the key to, number one, making sure that you keep your BMR up, your metabolic rate up, so that you are burning more calories at rest. Because the more muscle you have, as I mentioned before, the more you burn just sitting or eating on the couch.
Okay.
But then for women especially, it helps prevent osteoporosis which is when our bones start to become weak because they develop tiny holes in them, just age-related type of thing that we have to deal with. Strength training helps prevent that from happening. So you want to prioritize strength training, especially if you're going through menopause, for those two reasons.
Okay. Now, how can you increase your metabolism? What are some ways?
Yeah, so outside of making sure that you lift weights, that's probably the best and easiest way to increase your metabolism. Being physically active in general definitely helps with that. But also, you want to nourish your body with the nutrients that aid in metabolism.
Okay.
And one of the best types of foods that aids with that are like what we call essential fatty acids.
Okay.
Or you might have heard omega-3 fatty acids,
Yeah.
but there are more than omega-3s that are essential fatty acids.
Mm-hmm.
You can get those types of things from salmon, fish,
Mm-hmm.
most oils have some type of essential fatty acid in them, or all oils, I should say. Nuts, seeds, things like that will definitely help with metabolism because they all contain essential fatty acids.
Okay.
Drinking water, that helps increase your metabolism too. And one thing that I've learned it's a principle, an Ayurvedic principle, which is like an Eastern Asian ancient medicine type of thing, is drinking water right in the morning, like right after you wake up, like literally keep the bottle of water on your nightstand and drink it right after. Increases metabolism, also helps with digestion, helps with mental acuity and all that. But, I've put clients on that protocol and they've told me just from doing that one thing, drinking 8 ounces right first thing in the morning before they do anything, has helped them significantly with metabolism and digestion. And I should say that if a good measure, I usually use this, a good measure of a person's metabolic rate is if they're going to the bathroom regularly, which is something that a lot of people don't like to talk about. When I say going to the bathroom, I mean pooping. So if you're pooping very irregularly, meaning like you don't have a regular schedule. So, a lot of people, like, they get up in the morning, they go poop. That's their everyday thing. But then some people are like, sometimes I poop in the morning, sometimes I poop in the night, sometimes I don't poop every day, sometimes it takes me a whole week. That is not okay.
Okay.
So, but I always say I can usually tell a person's metabolic rate by how regular they are in that area as well. So if you aren't using the bathroom regularly, making it a priority to do what you can to make that happen will help your metabolism too.
Okay. So that's moving on to like the gut health. I was getting ready to ask you, what is gut health? And then how can you increase it digestively? Did I say?
Yeah. Okay. So when we talk about the gut, it's a very general term, but usually what a person or what people mean is the whole digestive system, which starts at the mouth, goes down through the esophagus, and then it goes to your stomach, then to your small intestine, then to your large intestine, then out it comes, right? But when we talk about gut health, some things that you can do in order to keep it healthy. It's really important to keep healthy, number one. I should start by saying, not only does it help with the metabolism, which I mentioned, but the bigger job that it does is it helps with your immunity. And so a lot of people don't really think that the two are related, but the majority of your immune system is located within your small intestine, which is part of your gut. So if that is not healthy, then you're going to deal with a lot of sickness, illness, allergies, food sensitivities, autoimmune diseases, stuff like that. How can you keep it healthy? Those 5 steps that I mentioned before, those are start there, right? So get enough sleep, drink enough water, eat enough vegetables and fruits, manage your stress, exercise. All 5 of those things help with gut health. In addition to that, you can do things that will help your gut work properly and keep your bacteria balance in line. And so one of those things are eating prebiotic rich foods. So prebiotics are substances that feed the good bacteria that are in your stomach, that help with your metabolism, that help with your immunity. Prebiotic rich foods are high fiber foods.
Okay.
So in addition to fruits and vegetables, whole grains, things like that will help feed your good bacteria.
Okay.
And then another thing that some people can do is either take a probiotic, which is a form of good bacteria, or eat probiotic rich foods, foods that have probiotics in them naturally. So an example of that would be yogurt, or kombucha, which is a drink, like a fermented tea. Anything that's fermented has probiotics in it.
Okay.
Miso is another example. There's all kinds of different foods that have probiotics in them that could help with gut health.
Okay. So how important is it for you, a person, to get superfoods in them? What is superfoods? And then how important is it to get it in their system?
Yeah, so superfoods are basically very nutrient dense foods that typically contain phytonutrients, including antioxidants that help prevent disease. Superfoods are important, and we can, I don't know. So I feel like, I have to be responsible in how I answer this question, because sometimes people will think, oh, well, if a little bit is good, then I should get a lot. And in fact, eating too much of those can actually cause really horrible problems, liver failure, kidney failure, things like that.
Wow. Okay.
So when people do the whole superfood supplements, I'm always a little leery, because too much of certain vitamins can be detrimental or even fatal. So be very careful. I would always say it's better to eat a superfood than to take a superfood supplement.
Okay.
It's very hard, very difficult to get too much of something in eaten form than it is from a supplement form. But they're very helpful in preventing disease, keeping your digestion regular, keeping your immune system boosted. Yeah.
Okay. Now we hear a lot about inflammation in the body. What is inflammation and what does it do to the body?
That's a great question. Yeah, so inflammation is basically like your body's reaction to something that it considers an illness or injury. So an example of inflammation would be if you walk down the stairs and you step the wrong way and you twisted your ankle, right? The first thing that would happen is your ankle, that you would notice probably, is your ankle would swell up, right?
Okay.
And so that's like, lymphatic fluid running to that injury spot to try to bring white blood cells there to heal it. Then you might notice it turns black and blue because blood is flowing there to try to heal it. So all of those things are inflammatory responses. That's an acute one, though. That's something that, like, we got a direct injury and it's happening here and now, so we have a big reaction. But sometimes there are, like, smaller things that happen within the body, or things that our body thinks is an illness or a problem, and it's really not. But our body reacts to it in very small ways. And instead of the reaction coming and then going, it is happening all the time. And that's how you end up with, like, autoimmune diseases and things like that. But we notice inflammation when we have reactions such as joint pain. May not necessarily have swelling associated with it, but sometimes it may. Brain fog is a sign of inflammation, like, or just having a bad memory, but it's not associated with, like, Alzheimer's or something. Or dementia. So, like, you always walk in the kitchen and you're like, what did I come in here for? And then you walk out and you walk back in the kitchen like, dang it, I forgot again. Things like that can be a sign of some inflammation. And usually inflammation is a result of either exposure to toxins or things that your body doesn't like, exposure to foods that your body may deem as, harmful. And sometimes it can just be genetic, but that's usually very rare. Like, usually the inflammatory process is a response to something. that you're being exposed to that your body doesn't particularly like, or that it deems as an enemy, but it's not really.
Okay. So what are some ways you can get rid of it?
Yeah, so the first thing I would say is, just really making an effort to find out what is the source of the inflammation.
Got you. Okay.
So a nutritionist would basically, most likely, after asking a series of questions, either do one of two things or maybe a combination of both. So send the person for a food allergy and a food sensitivity test, which you can get from your medical doctor, or they have them online where you can order them too. And then the second thing is put a person on what's called, what is it called? I can't think of the name of it. Oh my God. Brain fog. I have inflammation. An elimination diet. Jeez, I don't know. It just left my mind like. So an elimination diet is basically, a diet where we eliminate a lot of foods. We put you on something that's very restrictive for a period of time. And then after that period of time, we add a food back, and then we see if you have a reaction to it. Do you have a rash, or do you have, joint pain or whatever? If you don't, then we say, oh, this is probably not causing it. Keep eating that. And then we'll add something else and see. And we kind of like do it by process of elimination. That's why it's called an elimination diet.
Okay.
So that's probably the best two ways to figure out what's the cause of it. Yeah, and then there are other medical tests you can get done too to test for inflammation as well, like C-reactive protein is probably the biggest one, or homocysteine. Those are laboratory markers that will let your physician and your health professional know if you are dealing with some inflammatory processes.
Okay. And so the biggest way to get rid of the inflammation is to get rid of the toxins in your body.
Get rid of whatever it is that you're intaking, or, it could be, and I talk about this a lot too, environmental things, like, do you have mildew or mold in your home and you may be allergic to it? Are you chronically exposed to an allergen, or, are you using skincare products or hair products that have things that are toxic in them, which most of them do these days. And so, things like that. Even like when we get our nails done, our nails are porous. People think that the nail is like a barrier between our skin and our bloodstream, and it's not. Like, it has little holes in it. So whatever you put on your nails, if you're getting like the little powder stuff on your nails or whatever, those chemicals are going into your bloodstream, and that could cause an inflammatory process as well. So those are all things to be mindful of too.
Yeah, good information. Okay, so the last thing, do you have any last words of empowerment or advice for women that can help them in their lives?
Yeah, I would just say, as women, we always tend to put our loved ones first, and then we put, everything first before us. And I would say, in order to be the best woman that you can be, it's really important that you prioritize your health first, both, mentally, spiritually, and physically. In order to be the best mom and the best wife and the best sister and the best daughter you can be, you have to be the healthiest you can be. Like, you're going to be at your best when you're at your healthiest. And so, if I could say anything that empowers women from my perspective, I would say do that, and you'll be where you need to be in all those other.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jonene. So if anybody wanted to reach out to you, how can they reach you?
Sure. So you can visit the website. It's www.fordwellness.com, FORD or you can email me at jonene@fordwellness.com. That's JONENE @fordwellness.com. Either one of those are cool.
All right. I just want to thank you for coming. You gave a lot of good information, and I hope that people can use or follow through on the information that you gave. And I just want to say thank you for watching. My name is Debbie Stokes. Again, you can reach me at 3womenvoices@gmail.com. My website is 3womenvoices.com. I'm on Instagram at the number 3_women voices, and I'm on Facebook at the number 3 women voices. And I thank you for watching.